I call myself the Fantastic Kent Cummins, and therein is a story, of course. Well, it really started in 1949. My birthday is January 6, 1943. January 6th, the traditional day of the coming of the Magi. And 1943 was a magical year because it's the only year that pennies were magnetic. It was because of the need for copper in World War II. So I think that's kind of a magical time to have been born. But my point is, I had turned 6 on January 6, 1949. I guess it was probably in the summer. My grandpa gave me a little trick called a coin slider, a little wooden box that you put a coin in and it disappeared, or you showed it empty and a coin appeared. And I loved that trick. And so that Christmas, when I got up out of my bedroom and looked over the railing, I could see this huge Christmas tree and fantastic packages all over the place, an electric train running around. I mean, it was just one of those amazing Christmases. And so when I got to my last present, there was this wrapped up box that looked like it could have been a game set. And when I opened it up, I saw Misto Magic Set, and I went, whoa. I put it under my arms, I went upstairs, back up to my room, I closed the door so my little brother wouldn't bother me, and then I opened up the lid, and I saw all those incredible things that I didn't understand inside, and I said, you know, I'm gonna be a magician. I was a little kid who fell in love with magic, and I maintained that love throughout my whole life. This show is a celebration of the fact that I've been a magician for 70 years. And so I'm going to do some things that I did 65 years ago, or even 70 years ago, and things I did when I was 50, and things I did when I was 60, and now I'm 76. I'm going to pick out the things that I think the audience will enjoy most. I know that I'll have a lot of family and friends in the audience, so I know that there are going to be lots of people that really know me, and I want them to think, oh wow, I remember that. I remember when he did that. But I want it to be entertaining. I want the people in the audience that don't know me, that just think it's an interesting idea, to leave saying, wow, that was a really cool show. Magicians call the big tricks illusions. And this building that I call the Illusion Warehouse. So if you pull a rabbit out of a hat, that's a magic trick. But if you produce a tiger out of a cage, that's an illusion. And I keep that stuff right in here. I've loved illusions, the big tricks, all of my life. Blackstone himself came to the Majestic Theater in San Antonio. We saw Blackstone, the magician, do his full evening show. Here he is. There's the actual program. And Blackstone inspired me. He opened his show with what he called the Enchanted Garden, producing hundreds of feather flowers. I like that so much that I opened my show today by producing dozens of feather flowers, because I don't have 16, 18-wheelers and whatever to carry my show in. I think I was probably in junior high or high school when I first got the floating lady illusion. I know I was in high school when I first tried to saw somebody in half. I say tried because we couldn't make the illusion work correctly, so it never went into the show. Inside this building are the Book of Magic, the Sawing in Half, the Guillotine, the Houdini Stocks of Zanzibar, the Chinese Dress Change Illusion. These two big things are actually the human pincushion that we toured with Mighty Thomas Show's Carnival. So these are the big things, but they're all packed up right now. What I'll be doing between now and showtime is I'll be taking one illusion at a time, setting it up inside the Hogwarts Annex, rehearsing, getting back in touch with that particular illusion. And most of these will be performed in the evening show, the big show, on Sunday, November 3rd. I had a part-time job with the Gordon Theater chain in Baton Rouge. There were two brothers that ran the theaters. Randy was in charge of the left brain, and he was the guy that did the concessions inventory and that sort of stuff. He taught me how to sell popcorn, and he taught me all of that part of it. And Gordy was the right brain, and he taught me how to promote the movies. I can remember one time I would go through the things that came in that promoted the movies that were coming up. This is one of my favorite posters. And there was a big package for 2 on a guillotine. Two on a guillotine with Cesar Romero as the magician. And I thought, oh, wow, because I had seen in a catalog you could buy a magic guillotine. And so I went to Gordy and I said, hey, when you get this, I'm going to buy a guillotine and we can promote the show. And he said, I've got bad news for you, Ken. My arrangement with Warner Brothers is such that we won't get this show. And I was devastated because that was such a great idea. And he realized it and he said, but I know the theater managers who will be getting it, and I can send them a letter. And he did. He wrote the nearby theater managers that were getting that movie a letter and said, hey, Kent's a great magician. He's done a lot of good promotional work for me. You might want to have him come and promote 2 on a guillotine. And so I sent off for that guillotine and I practiced it, and I did shows to promote the movie, 2 on a guillotine. So I loved the guillotine. It was bright red, and I still had it when I was in the Army and went to Germany, and so I repainted it olive drab, and on the top of it I put M-007, and I memorized this thing. I don't remember it now, but the U.S. guillotine M-007 is a gravity-operated blah, 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 just like the things that you do for weapons. And I used to say that, and I've got photos of chopping off a German soldier's head in the guillotine. So the guillotine became one of my favorite tricks. There was a period of time, I guess as I got out of the Army, that I was selling stuff just to get rid of it because I had too much stuff, and I sold the guillotine. And I was heartbroken. I loved that thing, and I found another company that was making the same kind, but bigger and better. And so I bought that one, and that's the one I still use to this day. And actually there's another piece to the guillotine. In 1986, the year I became a full-time magician, that summer, my kids and I went with the Mighty Thomas Show's carnival throughout Canada, and we were promoting a carnival booth that I had created called The Secrets of Houdini Exposed. And we wound up doing shows on the Valley platform, and so I needed a guillotine, and I found a humongous guillotine from the Scott Magic Company, and we painted blood on the blade and stuff like that. I mean, we had so much fun because people would come up just to look at it, and that's what you need on the Valley platform, is people to come up and look. So the guillotine's been part of my life for a very long time.